you want to do a podcast? We make a darn good team. It always goes without a hitch. Let's head to Twitch and go start up the stream. Do you want to do a podcast? It's the Nerd Glasses Podcast. Let's start now. Hi everyone and welcome to the Nerd Glasses Podcast. Come?
Alright, I'll do my own bit for myself.
Oh wait, no silence.
We're doing it. Get off the road.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Nerd Glasses Podcast. I am Boater.
And I'm Dave, man.
And Dave, I have a very important question for you.
And what's that?
What is a Jawa's favorite type of pasta?
Jawa's favorite type of pasta. Unfortunately, I don't have the skill points in that dialect, so I don't actually know much of what they say. I just usually deal with them in So what is it?
Rotini! Hi, everybody!
Excellent.
I will give myself 9 points out of 10 for delivery. Hello everybody. Last week we had mentioned something about how we might be going back to the studio. Obviously that is not the case. We are still broadcasting remotely. However, the studio is imminent, and that does include such safety precautions as masks. So we are getting used to talking for an hour in them. Obviously, you know, we are both, you know, working during the day. We have them on all day. It's just another, hey, get used to wearing them for that extra hour of nerd glasses. Yeah, it's mask wearing around you has been pretty good. People being pretty on top of it.
In the Wilton Mall itself, we've had minimal issues with it. I know that none of us have had to address anybody. Anyone that has looked sickly or things like that, thank goodness, has not come into the store. And in my other career, well, you set the example for your students, and then they do it.
Yeah.
So yeah, how about you?
I don't want to get too specific because it'd be too easy to track down the places. Some of the places that I go, people are not as good about wearing masks as I'd be comfortable with. Fortunately, I am still able to keep that 6 feet of distance. So that, you know, the backup plan of like, all right, if you're going to be like that, I'll be back here and we'll be fine. But I also know that with as many people as we see during the day, and especially you, Dave, you're in contact with a fair amount of people, even with distance, everything like that. Once we're at the table and seated across from each other, this will be still very much yes. So, hi to everyone
Remember,
in chat.
folks, it's not about I don't feel sick, so I'm not going to wear a fucking mask. It's
no.
about respecting humans and other decency, you pieces of shit.
Wow.
Wear your fucking masks when you go out in public. Wash your fucking hands. Stop going out and fucking things up for everybody else.
I so want to just hang out with friends, and I don't want to talk about it too much, Dave, because at where I work now, there are a fair amount of people who are conservative, where unfortunately mask wearing has become politicized rather than just everybody should wear it for public safety. And just I came home and I was very much like, everyone just needs to wear masks. Bars may shut down again in New York because y'all can't social distance. Just do the right thing.
Special shout out for a local business. I don't know if you saw this, Boater, but Harvey's, our restaurant in Saratoga, deserves an especially particular fuck you for releasing an item called Cuomo chips, and they're $1. Did you know, by the way, that they weren't even set to open until they were told they weren't allowed to? Did you know that restaurant, none of the fucking locals around here eat there because you're goddamn disgusting and you're a fucking sty. You
Wow.
overcharge for shitty drinks and you make really crappy food, and that's why all the track people love you, because it's boutique and it's chic to come around to Saratoga, stuff cigarettes everywhere, and then fucking leave once it starts snowing.
I mean, I preferred it when it was Irish Times. I don't mind Harvey's, but you do bring up a really good point, and that's, well, I'm still actually patched into the email system from my last place of work, which is right in downtown Saratoga. And a lot of people, even with the track closed, are still coming into Saratoga for tourist season, are still coming in and, seeing all the shops, doing all the sites, everything like that. People coming in from states where New York is trying to mandate a 14-day quarantine if you're coming in from a dozen different states, and you bet people coming into Saratoga are just like, yeah, whatever.
And by the way, let's address that one. Quarantine. Quarantine, it's a complicated word, quarantine. It's got more than 2 syllables, so you Neanderthals out there seem to be struggling with it. But, lest we forget that quarantine means that when you go somewhere and you want to visit a loved one, it means that you don't get to just go to their house and then eat the local foods and do shit like that. No, it means that you have to unfortunately sacrifice being close to the ones you love for 14 days. It doesn't mean go to Starbucks. It doesn't mean order out and then make sure you give cash for everything. It means you fucking isolate. Isolation, this thing that people struggle with immensely.
And it
this
sucks
thing...
because like people that have
Yes.
been doing it right are still in like the, I haven't hung out with a friend at home. I have plans to do so sometime in the next couple weeks, as long as we're all still comfortable with where things are. But it's this planet a month in advance, and are we okay with this? Have we all taken these measures, whatever? And it's, hey, we're being responsible about it, and we got to be careful with that sort of thing. And then meanwhile, people that aren't are going and hanging out with friends, going to a party in North Carolina where 14 people got sick and making it worse and delaying things even more. Guys, I know that it wasn't supposed to be a podcast where we talk about the current state of affairs, but Connor B
You're
stating,
fucking it up for the people that's in the streets, and now you get what you deserve.
Connor B stating that in the UK, pubs are now open again, but many had to shut down within the first week because their customers got the virus. Yeah, and that's what we're seeing here in New York, is that bars are opening and people are not social distancing. Cuomo basically said, well, I don't want to shut you guys down, but how about we try this? You need to order food with your drinks, because that way you're not drinking on an empty stomach and you won't lose those inhibitions and you'll still social distance. And of course, people politicize, Cuomo chips and the Cuomo cup or whatever. And it's like, you're just going to get shut down again. Stop being fucking children about it.
Yep. Cry about it on the internet like you've done for decades. Go back to your, it's funny. It's funny, though.
Yeah,
when a lot of these people
I'm
that
going to
piss and
backtrack
moan-
just a little bit. I said stop being children about it. Dave, I bet your kids are great. Because
They really are. They really are.
They've got someone to look up to that is responsible, that is taking things seriously, and you are setting that example for them, and they are following that. Kids are our
Yeah.
future, and sometimes, like right now, I hold more hope for that future than for our present.
To take a break from Angry Dave for just a second, thank you. Welcome to the subscriber base, Connor B. And thank you very much, Vladdy, for gifting a sub. I see you've gifted 2 to the channel. Very awesome. But it's kind of funny, Boater, because it appears that all these people online pissing and moaning, wearing their sunglasses and talking about freedom and this and that and the other. Hold on, actually, while I'm going to do it properly. My rights and my people and my
heritage with the Wii U.
My heritage will be acknowledged. They're the same people that wear hoods all the time when they meet every month, and yet they have a fucking problem wearing that hood, not just during their rallies. So, buck up there, Buttercup.
Oh boy.
And if you
I don't really feel like getting into the topic of people complaining that it's government overreach there, and then meanwhile look at Portland. I think we can just kind of leave that one as is. Dave, are you ready to talk some nerd shit?
I mean, I'll never be ready again to talk about nerdy shit. However, for the sake of show And for the sake of the fact that the people that are watching us right now aren't the ones that necessarily need to hear this.
Yeah.
But the same people that complained when I said, and I'm going to make sure I say this very expressly, that the Boy Scouts of America hid and protected their pedophiles.
Yeah.
Hid and protected their pedophiles and then complained about the show. Those are the people that deserve a big old one of these. But you know who does deserve a twist of the middle finger, Boater?
Who's that, Dave?
Well, Boater, it appears that the one and the only American Microsoft company is truly doing some mythic levels of fuckery in the last couple of weeks. Starting with, they announced on June 26th that they were going to permanently close all 83 of its Microsoft Store retail locations, not the premier ones, though. So your ones in New York, your ones in Paris, your ones in this, those are safe because those look nice. But your ones in your local malls that employ your local employees and things like that, fuck them. We're going to switch over to a different model. Now I understand that with COVID, you must adjust and things like that. But
honestly, Microsoft Store, I don't even know where the closest Microsoft Store was. With a lot of things, it's not something that they really went whole hog on. My closest Microsoft Store is going down to friggin' Best Buy.
The closest Microsoft retail location, by the way, was in Massachusetts.
Yeah, so whatever. I'm not mad about that.
I'll be mad for both of us then.
Okay, you be mad for both of us. That's for me. That's just it's disappointing, but it's just the same as like what we were talking about. How Google has its graveyard, and with Microsoft killing Mixer, and that it's going to kill this, and it's slimming down. That said, I have some good news for Microsoft. And that is that during the Xbox Summer event, do you remember how we were talking about demos a couple of weeks ago? They are having a big event where you're able to play demos of like 70 different games. And I'm looking through the list, and Fogs, which I mentioned and showed a preview video of, is on there. I see Destroy All Humans, and I see a whole bunch of games that I don't recognize. But you know what? It doesn't matter if I don't recognize them. We're not looking for a huge name thing that I would pre-order without having played a demo for. Seasons of the Samurai. That sounds cool. I'll go download the demo and see if it's any good. Nine Witches, Family Disruption. Well, you have my attention from the title. A ton of really cool titles, and just a ton of Summer Games Fest demo event. Yeah, encourage developers to release demos for games, so it's like you need to sell me on it. Your name alone can't necessarily do it. And by kind of encouraging them to do that, I'm really excited. I like demos. As we said last time we were talking, I like demos.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong, and it's a proven sales tactic. Try it before you buy it, because if you have any inclination, it's part of the reason that modern day bookstores are a very successful model, because it's not can I have something by this author, and then they go, well, we have these three books behind the counter, or you have to special order them. It's right there. I can pick it up. I can open to a random page, read. If I like the storytelling, if I like what's happening, I close it. I walk to the front. Or in the past, when I would go to particular bookstores and I would see staff recommendations in one of my favorite sections by an Andrew, and I got really excited by those recommendations. And so I would pick that book up just upon those things.
And in the olden days, being able to grab a book and sit down in the bookstore, and read the first couple chapters. There's kind of this theory that I subscribe to with anime, which is when you're watching a new anime, or really it can be when you watch a new show, give it 3 episodes, because sometimes the first one isn't the most indicative of what the series is going to be. And with books, it's like read the first 3 chapters. Now, sometimes you have a book like Drew Williams' The Stars Now Unclaimed, where a chapter is 3 pages long.
Yeah.
But it still gives you a good idea of the book. Meanwhile, you have something like Years of Rice and Salt, which is a 700-page book with 10 chapters. So, but you get the idea. Read 30 pages. And so, yeah. You bring up bookstores.
Here's hoping, though, that for those demos that you don't necessarily need to have Xbox Live to access them, do you, Boater?
I'm going to check. I don't believe so.
I hope not, because while you're checking that, on July 20th, or on July 19th, actually, Microsoft did something very discreet, very quiet, very little. If you go here on the Microsoft website that I'm going to put in chat for everybody to look at, I want everyone to look at this page and tell me what's missing, what's not there on my Xbox Live Gold purchase if I am to purchase it directly through Microsoft. Someone in chat, let me know. What don't you see? What's different?
While people peruse that, the demo event, it doesn't say that it's limited to Xbox Live Gold memberships or anything like that, but it does say that it's a limited time only. It's the 21st through 27th, which is just really weird. Like, just keep the demos up there. Come on. I don't see a yearly subscription for Xbox Live Gold.
Bingo! They have kicked that straight out. You are no longer able to purchase Xbox Live as a yearly subscription. You can, however, purchase the Ultimate Game Pass, which is the Game Pass and Xbox Live Gold together, which costs annually, let's see, I crunched the numbers, about $179. So,
yeah, okay.
Microsoft, you're not my primary console, and you're not gonna be after this.
Game Pass Ultimate is showing as $15 a month. I'm gonna double check your math.
Please do, because for Christ's sake, there's so many fucking things I do.
No, yeah, that's $180.
$180 for a system I don't even want to own. And it gets better. It gets better, Boater. So not only are they not selling years worth of Xbox Live anymore, Demon Dragon also in chat noticing the year sub is missing. Boater, have you gone to a game store recently? I know the answer, Boater,
the answer's no, but continue.
Yeah, you're being smart about it. But I can't help but notice that all of the shelves are absolutely empty of the newest, latest, and greatest Xbox console, the Xbox One X. And ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, they have discontinued the Xbox One X. They're putting all their eggs into that basket, knowing that we, the sheeple, will march to the store for the Xbox One Series X, which...
So hold on. The Xbox One X is it's the most recent version of the Xbox One, right?
Mm-hmm.
So are they just not selling the Xbox One anymore?
They have stopped making non-edition branded Xbox Ones.
That's very, very odd. Like, considering that they were making 360s well into the lifetime of the Xbox One, the PS2 was manufactured for 5 years after the PS3 came out.
Mm-hmm. It's an interesting indictment on the fact that the Xbox One, it's twofold. We'll do the compliment sandwich. Firstly, the only really good thing that's going to come out of the fact that they're not selling them anymore is the fact that when anyone who does not have intimate gaming knowledge, which is a good 90% of the population, there's not going to be the Xbox One X and the Xbox Series X on the shelves anymore.
Yeah, no, I totally agree that that's a good thing. Like, they probably should have just rebranded it as Xbox One or something. Or, not gone with a name for the next console that clashes with an edition of their current one.
What's going on, Archduke Francis Ferdinand? Join in the conversations here on Insane Games TV on the Nerd Glasses with us. The thing that strikes me as funny, though, is that, Boater, of the... Let's see, we've got one on that TV, two on that TV, one at that house, and that... So of the 5 Xbox One X's that are associated with Insane Games, how many of them do you think work without any funny business without any prayers when you put the discs in, without controllers disconnecting, without network issues? Of the 5.
2.
1. There's 1. There is only 1, because it seems. But if people don't buy the new one, they don't get the money, says Demon Dragon. Very true. Very true. And I think what they are trying to do is get us, the active gaming community, used to the idea that, for the people that were sitting and saying, well, I'll buy a Series X I'll buy an Xbox One X when the Series X comes out. Well, good luck, pal.
I mean, honestly, because there have been issues, at least as you said with the Xbox One X, I'm still happy with my original Xbox One. It's one of those things where, like, I wouldn't want to get a newer edition, which hasn't been a thing since, well, the 60 gig PS3 can play PS2 games, and you don't want to get one after that. I am looking just a little more at the Xbox Live Gold membership stuff. The 12-month subscription, when it went away, I think was $60, which, $5 a month is a great deal.
Mm-hmm.
The current price is either 1 month at $10 a month or 3 months at $25, which is still basically rounds up to $10 a month. I don't play online enough to really justify that. Like, $5 a month is easy for me to swallow.
Yep.
But
it's an interesting move by Microsoft. Nightwing hitting on those notes that we hit on before. I'm shocked that Microsoft didn't keep them going, because people can buy the wrong one and then complain the whole time.
So I'm looking, and the Xbox One S is still going to be produced. Microsoft, maybe in preparation for building the Xbox Series S or Xbox Series X, and making sure they have production capacity for it, they're discontinuing the X, as well as the Xbox One S digital, so that just the Xbox One S is going to be out. And I'm trying to think, like, how, like, PS4 Pro, some games were made that were enhanced for that. I think the X was kind of that version of that, so there won't just be the beefier Xbox One hardware anymore. Again, unless you get it in, like, a Forza special edition or something.
It'll be very interesting, and it will be a shame, because there was a great many good things about the Xbox One. And even though that is the console where the Kinect died, and Microsoft is still upset about that, they really are looking to push the Microsoft fans into the Series X and not have any of the standing back for it. It'll be very interesting to see if this comes back on them. However, I bet if they put a Xbox One Series X with a disk drive out on the market, people will be just fine.
Counter B asks, is there any reason why Microsoft and Sony can justify a monthly charge for online services while PC platforms are free? And I will say part of that reason is that it is a single centralized service. On PC, you have multiple services. Steam is the big one. You have Epic Games Store. You have all of the individual, like, Uplay and EA's Origin. You have all these different things from competing companies, and they kind of have to make it free. Where, with the exception of, like, say, MMOs that have a monthly subscription. So with consoles having their single walled garden kind of style thing of, hey, we are providing all the servers. The servers aren't on Ubisoft to provide for their game and EA to provide for their game, whatever. Microsoft says we are providing all of the servers for online matchmaking. We need a bit of money to kick in for that. Because they got away with it is another answer. But I do think that, like, $5 a month isn't too much to ask for, like, especially if you're playing a lot, to have just the really simple centralized servers that with a really good reliability track record, as opposed to like Epic Games' track record for server reliability.
But Boater, it was $5 a pop, and now it's going up, and they want to
And that's why
cram
you gotta
more of
let
those
me
services
finish.
in there.
Oh, I just realized the mask has a really nice pop filter, so I'm not like breathing into the mic. Um, but yeah, like $5 a month wasn't too much to ask. 10? I don't know. Like I have my auto renew on Xbox Live Gold to set up in 12-month increments, and I don't know if it's all of a sudden going to be like, well, we're gonna sign you up at this now and charge you a whole lot more. I don't know. I guess we'll find out. Because I don't know. That's really scummy, and they're trying to push people to the Game Pass Ultimate, but like I don't care. I I don't get through the games that I own. I don't have the time to get through games that you're letting me play for free for a month. And that's such pressure. Here's a great game. You have 30 days to finish it. Ah!
It's like those days where you would get a cartridge game from a local rental shop. For those of you too young to know what those are, it was a place where instead of having access online to movies or games, you would go and get a physical copy, and it would be yours for a certain amount of time, like a library, and go to those before those are closed too. Um,
I mentioned in this whole thing, I mentioned Epic Games with their server reliability. And I didn't realize that among other things that Epic owns and has really been flexing their muscle on is that they own Rocket League. They bought Rocket League last year, and now they're starting to come full circle with that. Rocket League will no longer be available for purchase on Steam on the PC. Will just be on the Epic Games Store, but it will not be for purchase. That is going free to play, which really surprises me because I forgot that it wasn't free to play because it has very free to play style season pass and blueprint and in-game currency. It feels like a free to play game, even though I dropped, I don't know, $30 on it when it came out or something like that. And so Rocket League is going to be free to play. It is no longer going to be on Steam. It is just going to be through the Epic Games Store. And with that, it is going to be much better for cross-console play. Um, let's see, what's the exact tying player inventories and competitive rankings to a unified Epic Games account. So my friend that plays it on PS4 would sign up on an Epic account, and then if he downloads it on his PC, which he can do for free, it will immediately tie into that. Previously, your PS4 account for Rocket League wouldn't match your PC account. You wouldn't share your inventory and everything like that. If you own it on Steam already, you will still be able to play it from the Steam launcher, although you will probably need to sign up for an Epic Games account when you launch it. Anything to add? Nope. Okay, moving on. Rocket League is one of those online games that I actually enjoy playing online. And I don't like Epic Games. Just in general, I don't. It's good that Steam has competition. But I enjoyed the decade or so that we had of, how I was saying that like Xbox Live is like a unified thing. All of our stuff is here. Steam was kind of that for the PC, and now it's all getting re-balkanized again, which can be fine. It's just I don't know. Last time I looked at it, and maybe they've gotten better, but just like the Epic Game Store was awful, and I hated the client, and like a lot of shady practices and stuff. So we'll see.
I look forward to being able to play Rocket League with folks online and being able to splash into it, because if any person like me with gaming doesn't necessarily have one centralized gaming location, then it'll be a lot easier to do it that way.
Yep. I'm gonna go back just a little further in history. We've talked about a lot of old school things today. We talked about the idea of game rentals. We talked about demos, which are kind of old school. And I would say that nothing exemplifies old school, such as just having a physical copy of a game. Dave, do you concur?
Yes.
And so we talked about our Game of the Year picks for 2019, and I forget if we picked one exactly, but one that was at the top or near the top of both of our lists was Untitled Goose Game by House House. And next month, I believe, uh, Untitled Goose Game is getting a physical edition on Steam, not on Steam, on Switch and on PS4. Um, it is not getting a PC edition, which is unfortunate. It's I know that is, as long as we're talking about it, was on the Epic Game Store when it came out on PC, and eventually came to Steam, but it looks like they're not offering a physical edition of that. But the physical edition that you get for Switch or for PS4 has a lovely fold-out map of the town that I can put up in my basement that has maps all over the walls. It has a little brochure of junk that you find around the game, like the walkie-talkies and the little toy plane, just as like a little shopping brochure. And I think a no goose magnet. Hold on. A sticker. So some cool stuff. I think I'm gonna get it because we own the game on Switch, and darn it, why not get a physical copy on PS4?
Could be a lot of fun and a very good way of supporting smaller companies like House House to be able to get future physical releases at the offset of the game, as opposed to having to wait to have Cult Phenomena and have it catch on and then release physical copies then.
Yes. It is called the Lovely Edition. It is going to be $40 on Nintendo Switch and $35 on PlayStation 4. There is also going to be a vinyl soundtrack from the game that is released as well. So,
vinyl.
I have a vinyl soundtrack for Grip because I got the collector's edition. I have no way to play it.
Record players came back into the from the ether, only because they are of better sound quality. Pardon me as I push my hipster glasses up. Of better sound quality than CDs, especially MP3s and even cassette tapes. But good luck finding a good reliable record player that doesn't cost you about as much as an entire home entertainment system.
Yeah. I mean, you can, if your budget is under $100, you can get a workable one just fine. The thing is that like unless you get a really good one and you have pristine vinyl, then you're not really gonna notice a difference. Like, oh sure, like a digital CD might be slightly worse quality, but you need to have like trained ears in order to hear the difference. I think it's a fun collector's kind of thing, but for the people that get all audiophile, oh, I can tell the quality, I'm like, I'm sure you can, but is it worth the tenfold expense? I
think it was.
I suppose if someone believes that their hobby, and if that is their hobby, then great, is worth it, then who am I to crap on it?
It's a lot of fun to get to listen to some of your favorite songs and or records in a format that feels live. But again, to get that experience, you have to pretty much recreate a studio experience, which is costly, not space effective, and not as easy as just popping in headphones and knowing that if you boost the bass a little bit, turn the treble down a little bit, you're getting close.
I always prefer the boost bass, medium, and boost treble a little, but everybody has their own preferences. I get into someone else's car and I'm like, how can you listen like this?
Speaking of everyone has their own preferences, Metacritic is sick of that shit, and so they have implemented a 36-hour waiting period hold on people being allowed to review games to try to stop what happened to Last of Us Part 2 and many, many other games over the years.
Review bombing.
It's good, and it's been a long time coming, and I'm happy that Metacritic is going to do that because people on the internet shouldn't be allowed to randomly, arbitrarily sourpuss about something and then actually play it and then like it.
So you say 36 hour, is that like 36 hour from some sort of verified time of purchase? Is that just from the release date? Is that from creation of an account?
From Metacritic itself, this is a direct quote from them. We will recently implemented this 36-hour waiting period for all user reviews in our game section.
Okay, so they write a review and it doesn't go up immediately. It goes up a day and a half later.
Yes.
Okay. I thought you meant before writing a review.
It does prevent people from being able to just splash the games. And it'll be really nice to know that a Reddit forum isn't going to crash an entire game's future or the potential of release of DLC or content just because some edgelord didn't like something.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it's a power that can be used for good and for evil, and is usually more used for evil. And even when it's used for good, it gives you this kind of icky feeling. It's like, oh, haha, people went and review bombed this guy that was convicted for pedophilia. Haha, but it's like, other people also worked on that, and you're shitting on their work too, and you're doing so with a mob justice mentality, and it feels kind of icky.
It's not the smartest way to convey your message or to get at a company.
Yeah, like if something is review bombed, I would prefer that it's actually for issues that people run into as they play. Like, there's an app that I just recently re-downloaded, but for about a year, it was bought by a new company and was turned into garbage. And it went from like a 4.6 rating on the Google Play Store down to a 2.1. And that is with all the old reviews still up there. Everyone going and saying, this app is garbage now. Giving it 1-star reviews because of actual updates. That's what, like, if I log on and I see a whole bunch of stuff like that, that's useful to me. Reviews should be useful to someone going to if I go to Metacritic and I look up Last of Us, the review should be useful for me to decide whether or not I want to get the game. That is what reviews are for. If you're not using a review to review the product, there are plenty of other forms that you can make your voice heard. So good on Metacritic for trying to crack down on that.
It'll be very interesting to see how that goes in the future.
Nightwing says, I'm glad I don't normally read reviews and just try the game and judge it for myself. And let's make that our question. People think about that. Whether it's in games or movies or whatever, do you tend to listen to or watch or read reviews before you consume that media? Or do you go in blind? Do you have a specific way that you look into reviews for something before you decide whether or not you're gonna go into it? Like for me, I have a few sources that I like to hear from, but I usually don't even read reviews until after, like, let's say, The Dead Don't Die, which is a movie that came out last year. I enjoyed it. It was very weird, and just a very awkward kind of movie. And if I had read reviews ahead of time, I don't think I would have seen it. But I enjoyed it with a bit of an asterisk, and then I got a lot of enjoyment reading reviews afterward. What did other people think of this? And again, that's going to like io9/Gizmodo, going to Tor.com, which will sometimes talk about movies. I will go to a trusted source afterward. With video games, I will see what Kotaku and Polygon had to say about it, but I'm not going to go to Metacritic. I don't care what the average user thinks about it. I don't care what 10,000 users had to say about it. I want to know someone whose job is to be critical of it while still being able to read between the lines and say, okay, they didn't like this, but that was something that they seemed to be approaching from a subjective thing. Maybe I would enjoy that. That sounds kind of cool. Demon Dragon says Bill freaking Murray, and he was one of the good points. There were a lot of good points for Dead Don't Die, but man, there were a lot of weird points too. Nightwing says, or I ask people to have similar game tastes as me, but don't always take their word even if they say it's horrible. That's true too. I don't mind listening to friends if they, especially if a friend recommends something. I will take that into consideration more than a review. And you?
When it comes to films, I avoid trailers like nobody's business because I don't want to see the best clips of a movie. I want to be able to actually see it cinematically as it is written and as it is presented. And when it comes to games, I more use who is making the game, what the concept is, and then what the track record of the tendrils around it are. If it's an Epic Games exclusive, it gives me a moment to think this could be a company really trying to find their chance, or it's a game company that has burnt all their bridges and taken a dump everywhere else, and this is their next chance to do so.
Epic Games is kind of investing in shovelware a little bit, just trying to find the next thing. For those unfamiliar with the term, there was a lot of that stuff PS2. I saw a lot of it on the Wii, and that's just it's shovelware. It's like, oh wow, we need something here. All right, just pile it on. Maybe something will stick.
Yep, throw it out there. Let's see what sticks. If you see a cartridge with the words Tengen on it, because by God, it was in 46 sized font, it was shovelware.
Yeah. I had something else I was gonna say, but I lost it. So, trailers. With movies, I want to watch the trailer maybe twice, but I don't take it apart. I don't like watching YouTube videos that try to examine every little frame of the trailer. With games, like I watched the trailer for Valhalla once when we talked about it here. Someone else asked me about it. I'm like, I don't know. I watched the trailer a couple months ago. Actually, during Brunch with Boater when I was playing Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag a couple days ago, people were asking me about Valhalla, and I'm like, I remember being impressed by the trailer, so I could be interested in it, and we talked a bit about that. Star Wars Squadrons, which you've shown a lot of hesitancy with because of EA. Meanwhile, I'm all over the news. They just released some more stuff with more in-depth of how some of the gameplay is going to work in energy management type stuff as a pilot briefing a couple days ago. So I tore through that this morning.
Nice.
So like some things like that I'm really excited for. If I see anything that's like, oh, well, the story is going to be about, skip that paragraph and maybe the next paragraph after that because I want to avoid spoilers. But for actual gameplay, yeah, I want to get excited for that game. And I'm excited that I enjoy that the stuff I keep seeing come out keeps me excited. But I also, I'm pretty sure I'm going to pre-order that game and I'm going to play it. And I'm not going to read anyone's reviews of it until after I have played it and form my opinion.
Always a safer way to be, especially with product. If an IP does interest you or things like that, safer way to be is to know what you want out of it. And if you can get that experience, it doesn't fucking matter what some a-hole on the internet thinks. It matters what you think about it because it's your money.
I mentioned that recommendations is one way that happens, and if people want to keep submitting answers as far as what they think of reviews or stuff like that, then we're happy to hear it. But I do want to move on a little bit. We mentioned recommendations, and one thing that's very easy to recommend is Avatar: The Last Airbender. And this past couple of months, people have been rediscovering this because people that never got the chance to watch it before, or were like, I'm not going to buy DVDs for this because I don't know if I'll like it. It came out on Netflix a couple of months ago. It spent, I believe, 59 consecutive days as the most popular thing on Netflix, which is the record setter. They barely put anything into marketing except to say, hey, Avatar Last Airbender is on Netflix now. And number one for 59 days straight, and that is completely blowing out all their original programming, everything that Netflix spends the big bucks on. And so naturally, the question is, okay, when is Legend of Korra coming to Netflix? And that answer is August 14th. Um, I love Avatar: The Last Airbender. I really enjoyed Legend of Korra. I prefer Avatar more, but Korra has a lot of really good things going for it. It's one of those shows that's a little more inconsistent, more ups, more downs, but the ups are still really cool to go there. So they knew we needed an Avatar to save the world. Yeah, that's pretty much how the year's gone. So all four seasons will drop on Netflix on August 14th, and I'm excited for that. I finally got around to watching Legend of Korra last year. I'd seen Avatar like 10 years prior or something, but I just never got around to finishing Korra. I'm glad I did, and I recommend it.
What is Legend of Korra about? Because I've watched all of Avatar: The Last Airbender. Claire
Okay.
was nice enough for my birthday a couple years ago to buy me the entirety Nickelodeon DVD box sets of the seasons. They were awesome to do one disc at a time, slowly. But Korra.
Sure. So quick recap of Avatar: The Last Airbender. This kid who's been frozen in an iceberg for 100 years is the Avatar, embodies all four elements, and ends up saving the world against the evil machinations of the Fire Lord of the Fire Nation, working with the Water Tribe and the Earth Kingdom along the way. 2 generations later, um, where the kids are like would have been Aang's grandsons. Yes. 2 generations later, uh, the latest Avatar is discovered to be from the Water Tribe, and she has quick mastery over all of the elements except air. And so as the air nomads are kind of like reasserting themselves in the world, she sets out to learn how to use the element of air. Along the way, there is a lot of stuff going on with Republic City. Um, the setting has moved from the kind of medieval framework of Avatar: The Last Airbender, and in just I don't know, we'll say 80 years. I don't know the exact time in between off the top of my head. It has gotten very early 1900s. There are motor vehicles. There's electricity. There's radio, and it's very much dealing with how an industrialized or industrializing society deals with that while still having the very real presence of bending, of magic in its setting, as well as going really in depth into the tensions between benders and non-benders. These people who have these great skills and the seculars, the people who do not, and the tensions that rise among them in this city that is beholden to no bender-led nation.
Hmm.
Let's see here. So reading up in chat. Oh wow. Okay, more like Rigor Mortis has a lot to say about Legend of Korra. I definitely need to finish Korra. I started it and never got around to finishing it. Korra was in constant fear of cancellation, so each season wrapped up itself, which is really true. Like Avatar: The Last Airbender had a really good unified arc across all 3 seasons, because they knew that they had that full thing going. And if you go into Korra knowing that each season is going to be a monster of the year, monster of the week kind of thing, where it's this is what we're doing this season, this is what we're doing this season. If you go into it knowing that, it's fine, but it is something that you do need to be forewarned about. Um, and each season centered around a villain who was weirdly right. Uh, I don't want to go too in depth into it for spoilers, but we'll say the season 1 villain is again I mentioned that tension between Bender and non-Bender, which is more the season 1 arc than anything going on. I don't even want to get into what some of the later seasons did, because it wouldn't mean much without the context of the first. But yeah, like the villain of season 1 is like, hey, the Benders have all the power. That's not right. We have no representation. How about secular power, yo? I think there's a term for non-benders other than non-benders, I think, but I forget what it is. Um, Trouble is, he's kind of militant and violent. He has the right idea, but his methods are, awful. But struggling with that morality. Korra doesn't. The Legend of Korra doesn't shy away from that. The same way that Avatar: The Last Airbender tackled really serious issues without turning away. The Legend of Korra continues to do that. Gay canon, true. And a polar bear dog. Equalists. Yes, that was the term for the party of people that were looking for equality between benders and non-benders. And a main character with depression. Yeah, like a lot of these really cool themes that the show tackles. So there's a lot to recommend it. I'm sure if you get... I was going to say me and more like Rigor Mortis in a room to talk at you about it, we could go for an hour, but really get any two fans of the series. Get my sister-in-law. She will talk your ear off for 5 hours. So, comes to Netflix on August 14th. So, it comes to U.S. Netflix. Listen, you all watch YouTube. You know how VPNs work by now.
From the looks of it, and if memory serves, especially during The Last Airbender, they didn't really come up with a term for non-benders. They just didn't refer to them as non-benders.
Yeah.
So
so like again, Equalists are this sort of militant group that seeks that parity between benders and non-benders. But yeah, really good. I gotta watch it again. I have a lot of things I need to watch. I'm about to start up Strike Witches again, which is well. Anyway, hey Dave, do you know whose birthday it is today?
Who's that, Butter?
He's 20 years old, and his color is purple, and he has a letter on his head, but it's inverted. Waluigi debuted 20 years today, Dave. I would have thought you'd be on top of this. Wah!
Very nice.
So
a game character who has not yet gotten his due in Smash Bros, but
nope.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
Yeah, it's I see us getting close to that 8:30, and I want to make sure that we do get the chance to say happy birthday, Waluigi. Not much else to say there, but just like you keep going, guy, and hopefully in another 20 years we'll get you into Smash.
Waluigi's Taco Stand will become a Nintendo Switch game in the coming year. Mark my words.
I think that's everything I had for today, Dave. Dave, you shot me a couple videos. Let's talk about these with our minutes left.
Yeah, unfortunately, both of those videos will pretty much take us till overtime. However, one of the first video I sent you is something that's important, especially here in current COVID times, in the current mindset that people are having, and in the current unfortunate disconnect that we as a people have been experiencing overall. It's a new online harassment support for emotional support for people in the gaming industry, people who stream, people who game, anything and associated with those things, because someone offers to beat you up and then they beat you up. That's physical damage, things like that.
Yeah.
You heal physically, you deal with them. Someone goes online and harasses you continually. That's a whole kind of mental stress that we as people really aren't trained to help with that or things like that. And so it is my hope that if you are experiencing those things, that you do have a voice and you will reach out to receive some help. I am going to drop a link to the video we are currently watching in there, because in it does detail to the company that will be offering this free of charge. Obviously, texting rates apply, but it's a service that looks like it will be of a great resource to the many people I'm not a trained, well, by New York State standards and by Insane Games TV standards, I'm an associate and a paraprofessional. So I know that I don't know shit, and I'm spoken to like I don't. But um, people nowadays aren't realizing the reason why people are screaming and crying about wearing masks in public and about things being closed and not being able to get wasted at the bars. It doesn't have anything to do with wearing a face covering. You didn't give a shit about it in December when you had to. You didn't give a shit about the bars being closed on holidays and crap like that. It's because people are getting told no for the first time on a mass standpoint. And a lot of people don't know how to internalize that. A lot of people don't know how to externalize fear. They don't know how to deal with things that are going on up here that they've never had to deal with a reality that is not within their control before. And if you're one of those people, reach out to these different services. There is so many resources out there for you to better yourself and to better for the people around you. Because it's not that person whose minimum wage job is to ask you to put a mask on. It's not the person that has to leave their job because they have an immunocompromised family member and cause short staffing to happen. It's not anyone's fault per se. Get yourself some help. Find out, why am I really mad? Why am I really upset? Why am I really not communicating? Reach out. There are so many resources out there and so many things that you can do to better yourself.
This particular games hotline you said is aimed towards people in the gaming industry, and I think that that's like, we've there's been a lot of cases of harassment in the news in the past. Um, so it's games industry harassment. And so like Gamergate was a big thing. And this is something that could have helped people through that. Um, I know some friends that are streamers that have gotten a lot of harassment in the past. That that just continues on as nothing at the end there. Okay, cool. Streamers that have gotten a lot of harassment in the past that could use something like this. And with present times, there's the people that make their living online but aren't mad rich doing so. We talked about people that were eking out a living on Mixer and now having to go to Twitch, all while in really uncertain times. Just someone to talk to, someone to like, hey, this is what I'm trying to deal with. I'm trying to, make my living in games here, and it's stressful as hell. And I feel like I'm letting down my viewers when I take me time to process everything going on in the world. Um, this Dave typing in chat, the service will be able to help with online harassment unlike many, many companies. It's not just those in the industry, it's for anyone involved in gaming. Yeah, like gaming industry very loosely used. Like me as a Let's Player, if I'm feeling like whether I'm feeling far too stressed out from trying to continually produce, as the as my brain is too taken up with fight or flight coronavirus times, or if again, I'm a white dude. I'm not subject to a whole lot of harassment demographically, but there are people who are. And so like, hey, I want to do this thing. I want to just have fun and share and create a community. And every week without fail, someone comes in and says you should show more cleavage, or obviously I'm speaking from across the gender divide here, but um, people, this hotline is going to be people that are uniquely equipped to be able to help, again, with games industry, but online harassment in general. They are going to be coming at it from a perspective that is really underserved. So I'm really excited that this is a thing. So again, it is the Games and Online Harassment Hotline. Text to 23368 for support. It's always free. They are accepting donations. It is tax deductible. Dave, thank you so much for bringing that to us tonight.
The big reason I'm comfortable mentioning this one to everyone is the fact that in their videos and in all their promotional materials, they mention that the person you're talking to may not be a trained mental health professional, but has training to know where that line is to cross into. If I come to them and I say, I'm really worried about my favorite streamer. They've been acting really strangely recently and they've been mentioning a lot of very questionable things. They'll be able to know now is not talking head moment for me. Now is referral to these services that can get the help, that can get these professionals involved.
Cool.
It's a web way to better and more, not just a reliant upon one message and service, because there's a lot of dead ends out there, unfortunately, in the gaming industry. But speaking of rallying on and not reaching a dead end or a stop sign, we've got a program after this one.
We do. All right, so that gets shelved, and sorry, Dead Stranding. Yes. So last week I said, well, we might be back in the studio this week. So I wanted to try to finish Bard's Tale. Now, unfortunately, I was not able to finish Bard's Tale on the Citadel last week, but we have just entered the final tower, and as much as it pains me to play the same game 3 days in a row, we're going to do Bard's Tale tonight so I can finish it, and when we go back to the studio, I don't have to worry about it. We'll go back to 2 Human and Dragon Age 2, and dang it, Mad Max is still a thing. So I want to get Bard's Tale off the slate.
Hell yeah.
So that is going to be on the Citadel right here at Insane Games TV. For those of you that have not been with us through the program switchover before, what's going to happen is that we're going to say bye, we're going to wave, we're going to freeze in place, and then I hit stop streaming. And about 60 to 90 seconds later, it will come right back on with a countdown to the Citadel. So please stick around for that. Go grab a drink, use the bathroom. I need to do both. And in about 15 minutes, we'll be live with the Bard's Tale.
If you haven't yet, now is your last time before we close the door on the Nerd Glasses to get your free shoutouts just by hitting that follow button that is now down below. Hit that notification bell because every day, starting at 2 p.m. and going pretty much till midnight, there are streamers, there's content, there's fun to be had here on Insane Games TV.
And if you don't stick around for the Citadel tonight, remember that there's OC5 Live, Wetro Wednesday, the Dream Team, and the Weekend Wednesday all coming up tomorrow. So we're excited for it. There's a lot of cool stuff, but
Hell
Citadel
yeah.
is right after Nerd Glasses tonight. So thanks for the show, guys. Good job. Thank you, Connor B, for coming in and hanging out. Thank you, More Like Rigor Mortis, Nightwing, Vladdy, Demon Dragon, and anyone else that I might have missed. Thank you to our growing community that comes out here every Tuesday night. And I really hope that next week, Dave and I will be able to glare each other in the eye while at a safe and masked distance, and you be able to feel that tension in the room. So, thank you, everybody. Have a good one. We will see you next week on the Nerd Glasses podcast, and I hope to see you in just a few minutes on the Citadel. Bye! Hold on, freezing on the waving, and then I need to use my right hand to stop stream. Okay, there we go. Bye!